Lori here. I'm back for my May reading wrap up. I have to admit, this month did not go as planned. Definitely did not go as planned. I will say that. For those that don't know, I was doing my production of Willy Wonka this month, my own production for the first time ever as a theater teacher. So I kind of went into the month thinking I wasn't going to read a lot, but I was secretly hoping that I would accomplish a lot more than I did, especially because I was going to BEA this week. So I was hoping that I would read a lot more books and really be able to balance my life a little bit more. But that unfortunately did not happen this month, sadly. I up until Thursday, I read 3 books this month. So I read a couple of more, but it was definitely not what I was expecting to read. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with myself, but I also had like 1.5 million things going on with my show. So I'll cut myself a little bit of slack. But I definitely did not accomplish almost anything on my TBR. So, which is sad. But I just wanted to come on here and do my May reading wrap up because I have a feeling in June I'll be reading a lot more and I don't want that video to be massively long. But I did not read any I was not impressed with my reading. But in positive news, my production of Willy Wonka was a huge success. So I was very, very proud of that. And if I had to stay a little bit unfocused on reading to get it to that point, then I'm perfectly happy with that. And the kids did a great job. So let's get into what I wound up reading for the month of May. This month started off actually good because there was testing in my school. So I actually got to read during testing for the most part. So the first book that I wound up finishing in the month of May was Lovely and the Lost by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I don't have a physical copy anymore because I gave it to one of the kids in my cast, but here's a pretty picture. I have enjoyed all of Jennifer Lynn Barnes' books. I really loved her Natural series. I loved her Fixer series. I'm really enjoying her Debutante series. This book, like the Debutante series, is not as like dark or intense as the mystery. It's kind of like mystery light, but I really love the setting. It basically follows this girl named Kira who ends up being adopted by this woman named Caddy, and she winds up running a rescue dog operation. And Caddy and her kids wind up getting sucked into this rescue mission to find a lost child. And it's very, very straight up, but then there's a lot of stuff under the surface that you learn about. And I just really like the concept of found family. I love the setting. I love the survival aspect. And I love seeing Kira in the past and in the present. I thought it was a really, really well crafted novel. I didn't predict the end of that book, and that normally happens in a Jennifer Lynn Barnes book because they're so well crafted. I would say the mystery was definitely mystery light or like not as intense of a thriller as like the Natural series, but I wound up really enjoying it, and I wound up giving it 4.5 stars. And I really hope that this book becomes like a series because it definitely did leave off on that, and I would love to see the other cases that are followed. And I really did enjoy the characters. I love the trio character that we got. Oh, sorry. I love the trio character that we got in this novel as well. I really love the setting, and I love all the side characters. So this book was definitely a hit for me. Now, this is when my reading took a really deep dive into terribleness because I kept picking up books and just not finishing them. So, like, I picked up Wicked Saints and then I put it down. I picked up Storm Runner and I put it down. I picked up something else and then I put it down. And that was like a week of me just picking up stuff and just not really being invested to read it. So that was kind of the problem. And then after reading like 4 books, I finally just was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to pick up Phantom Wheel because I felt like I would like just like fly through it, and I definitely didn't fly through it. But this is the next book that I wound up reading. This is also like right in the middle of my show being chaos and crazy. But so this book was I got last year at BEA, and I've been trying to tackle some of my older titles just so I could get rid of them or find new homes for them. But this is like a hacker novel. I think it's literally the same of the series. But it's about these 4 kids that think that they're going to the CIA for like a job interview, but it really is that they wound up creating a super virus that's going to take down the world. So then they wind up going back to try to fix that, and there's like a bunch of different point of views. I did like the concept of this book. This book was very science heavy, and I think the sciency of it like kind of went over my head because I wasn't always following it. And there was a lot of point of views in this book, and I just got really confused about who was being talked about. So I would say this book was only like a 3-star read, but the story was really compelling. I just wish it was explained a little bit better. And also I wish that the characters were made more like clearer, or they were fleshed out a little bit more. But I would be curious in reading another book by this author. I don't know if we're going to get another one, but I did like the representation in this book, and I did like the diversity. I just wasn't the biggest fan of how the plot was explained, because I thought that it confused me. But then again, I'm not a big tech person, so maybe if you would read this book, you'd be totally fine. But for me, I did get confused a little bit. So overall, I gave this book a 3-star read. Earlier in the month, I also did wind up finishing Wizards of Once by Cressida Cowell, and I did wind up listening to the audiobook, and my audiobook listening has gone so far downhill. But I actually did like it. I love David Tennant as a narrator, and I do have the second book, so I might wind up reading it at some point soon, or getting the audiobook. But I did wind up liking it. I thought it was just a fun adventure story that I really needed, and it was a really, really quick listen. And David Tennant in my ears is never a bad thing. And I wound up giving the audiobook 4 stars. Frame of reference, my show closed Thursday, and between Thursday night and today, I have almost read 3 books. So you know that I'm a lot more focused. So the first book that I wound up picking up is Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Goo. This was a book that I was so excited for. I wound up pre-ordering it, and boy, am I happy that I did. This book follows Lucky. She's a K-pop star. I know nothing about K-pop, but the girls in my cast, who, if they watch this video, they'll know exactly who I'm talking about, are obsessed with this band, which I cannot think of the name of right now, but they're obsessed. So this is the perfect book for me. I love books about stars meeting guys and falling in love. Those are some of my favorite books. Basically about Lucky and Jack is a wannabe tabloid reporter, and Lucky is a K-pop star, and they wind up crossing paths one night, and it is a hilarious, heartfelt, and heartwarming adventure. This was definitely my favorite book of the month by far. I love this book so much. I thought it dealt with self-discovery so well. I thought the romance was really, really sweet. I love both characters. I was equally invested in both plot lines. Definitely my top read of the month by far. I have to go back and read her other books. I might actually wind up buying them at BookCon this year if I'm so inclined, because I really, really love this book. I'm going to give this to one of my seniors in my cast because I think she'll love it equally as much as I did. But this book was amazing. If you're looking for a really, really fun summer read, this is the book that I would highly recommend you read, because it's perfect, and I flew through it in about like a day. No joke. Which, coming from someone that really, really struggled to read this month, it was such a refreshing read. Coming off of the contemporary bandwagon, I also wound up picking up Hot Dog Girl by Jennifer Dugan. I got this arc from the publisher, and this book wound up being like a 4-star read for me. I like this book. I didn't love it. I think it took me a little while to warm up to the lead character Eloise. But it basically follows this girl named Eloise. It's the summer before her senior year, and she wants the summer to be perfect. She works at this carnival every year, but at the start of the summer, she learns that the carnival is going to be closing, and she, like most characters in YA novels, hate change. So she's kind of doing everything in her power to make sure that the park stays open, even when no one really believes it's a good idea. And then she's dealing with a lot of romance issues. There was a lot of representation in this book. The plot did not go the way I thought it was going to go, I'll say that. Like, I was really surprised about how this plot developed, especially in reference to diversity. There is a lot of bisexual characters and like gay characters and all the stuff that are represented in this novel. I love the side characters. I thought the plot was super interesting. And this book surprised me. I thought the character took a little bit, like, she could be very unlikable at points, but I really did like her family dynamics and the side characters. It was a very interesting read, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. It was a little bit more dealing with harder issues and harder topics, but in kind of like not like a Katie McGarry way, but I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite contemporary read, but I enjoyed it. So I'm giving this read like 3.5, 4 stars. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Hot Dog. And then late last night, I wound up going back to Storm Runner by J.C. Cervantes, and I wound up picking it back up. And now I'm on page 218 in it, and I'm really enjoying it. This book is a really fast-paced adventure story. It's about Mayan mythology. And it's the first book, or no, the second book in the Rick Riordan Presents series. I'm really liking it. It's definitely very formulaic. Like those books are very formulaic because Rick Riordan has a really cool concept that he's come up with, and I feel like they all kind of are in the same vein with subtle differences. But I love how the people writing these stories are from that background. I think that Rick Riordan has a really cool method, and I think that it's just so cool that he's giving other authors these chances to write stories like he does. Because I think that Rick Riordan is only one man, but these stories and these mythologies should be told to every kid that deals with that. Like, there should be books about every single mythology because I think the kids will just eat it up and will make reading more fun. I'm really enjoying it. I love the disability reference in here. I'm loving the gods. I'm loving the trio of characters that we have. And yeah, I'm definitely going to probably finish this before the end of the month. So I'll definitely give you guys my reviews in my June wrap up. But so far, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm on page 218. I am going to stay the same Time Warp YA book clubs because I honestly didn't read them. But yeah, I really hope that I have a better reading month in June. And I'm gonna be back to reading vlogs and all that fun stuff. So hopefully, when you see me at the end of June, I will be officially done with my first year teaching, and I will have read a lot. That's the hope. If you guys are going to be at BEA and BookCon, come say hi. My name's Laura, and if you see me, come say hi. Let me know in the comments what was your best read of the month, and I'll talk to you guys later for another video. Bye.